The stars died at 0200 hours. Commander Rhea Calder stood on the bridge of the Vanguard, staring into a void where Orion's belt should have been. The starfield that once shimmered beyond the viewport had vanished, swallowed by blackness deeper than interstellar space. The ship's sensors screamed static. No comms. No readings. Just silence. "Commander, navigation's blind," said Lieutenant Aaron. His voice cracked despite his training. "Every star, every relay, gone." Calder didn't answer right away. Her eyes stayed fixed on the viewport, jaw tight, the pulse at her neck steady. "Check internal systems. Life support. Reactor flow. All nominal," Aaron replied. "It's like the galaxy disappeared." Rhea exhaled slowly. "Galaxies don't vanish, Lieutenant. Someone made this happen." The bridge lights flickered. For a moment, the Vanguard seemed to shudder, as if brushing against something unseen. Crew members exchanged uneasy glances. Then came the whisper. A low, haunting hum filled the comms, words, or maybe not words at all. Just emotion, pure and raw, fear. Rhea's hands clenched into fists. "Mute all external channels." "Aye, Commander." The hum died, leaving a suffocating quiet. 5 minutes later, the sensor chief, an older woman named Dr. Imani, spoke softly. "Commander, I'm picking up a repeating subspace pulse. Artificial. Not local. Location? Everywhere," she whispered. "Same signal across all monitored bands. It's like someone wrapped the entire sector in it." Calder leaned forward. "Patch it through visual filters." The screen flickered, revealing fragments, faint alien glyphs forming a sigil of 12 interlocking rings. The symbol of the Galactic Council. Rhea's expression hardened. "Of course it's them." "Message attached," Dr. Imani added. "Encrypt it." "Old code." "Decrypt it," Rhea ordered. "Now." Minutes passed in silence. Crew members held their breath. Then the message resolved, cold, emotionless, and written in galactic trade tongue. "Subject species, humanity. Demonstration Phase 1 initiated. Observe and submit. Fear is the path to survival." The room fell silent. Ensign Velez whispered, "They're trying to scare us." Rhea almost laughed. It wasn't a happy laugh, it was the kind born on battlefields. "They don't understand humans." The lights dimmed again. A crewman screamed as he saw something, his mother's voice, echoing through static, calling his name. The nanoprobes were infiltrating audio pathways, projecting hallucinations. Calder moved fast. "Seal sensory input filters. Hard shutoff on personal audio links. No one listens to that noise." "But Commander, our long range." "Now, Lieutenant." The hum cut again. The darkness pressed closer. Rhea turned to her first officer. "Get me command uplink. I don't care if you have to bounce it off the moon. The Council just declared psychological war on humanity." 30 minutes later, she was in the comms bay, recording. "This is Commander Rhea Calder of the HSS Vanguard. The Galactic Council has initiated a coordinated fear offensive across human space. To whoever hears this, don't give them what they want. Don't be afraid. They feed on it. We'll show them what fear looks like when it's human." As she spoke, behind her, the darkness outside shifted, twinkling again, faint light returning to the void. Her comm officer stared in awe. "Stars are reappearing, Commander." Rhea smiled grimly. "Then they made a mistake. They wanted to terrify humanity." She turned toward the viewport, her eyes hard as iron. "But they just terrified the galaxy." The stars were back, but the fear lingered. Every human colony from Mars to Epsilon Gate reported the same event, a blackout of the stars, a whisper that crawled into the mind, and then silence. Commander Rhea Calder had been awake for 37 hours. The bridge of the Vanguard was dimmed to emergency lighting. Her crew worked in a haze of caffeine and dread. The hum of the engines was the only steady sound in the room. "Fleet Command just confirmed it," said Lieutenant Aaron, placing a datapad on the console. Every human outpost got the same message. Same council seal. Same phrase, observe and submit. Rhea's gaze stayed cold. They want to break us before a single shot is fired. Dr. Imani rubbed her eyes. It's psychological warfare on a galactic scale, Commander. The probes are using subspace frequencies designed to interact with neuroreceptors. They induce panic, hallucinations, despair, whatever emotion breaks the target fastest. Rhea nodded. So they call it a demonstration. Not an invasion. Aaron frowned. Demonstration of what? Power, she replied. They're telling the entire galaxy, this is what happens when you resist us. Hours later, the Vanguard received a secure call from Central Command on Luna. The holographic projector flickered to life, revealing Admiral Kozlov, broad-shouldered, scar cutting across his temple, eyes tired but burning with restrained fury. Commander Calder. His voice boomed. You're our first eyewitness. What's your assessment? Rhea stood at attention. It's a coordinated attempt to induce mass panic. They're broadcasting on every known neurofrequency. I recommend immediate isolation protocols for all communication relays. Kozlov nodded grimly. Already in motion. But that's not the worst of it. He sent an encrypted feed. The screen filled with hundreds of alien symbols arranged in a spiral, each glowing with pulse-like energy. This is the signal's core structure, he continued. We caught a fragment of it on a derelict probe near Seti Prime. When our scientists tried to decrypt it, several suffered seizures. Whatever this is, it's weaponized data. Dr. Imani leaned closer, analyzing the feed. They're embedding emotional triggers in the carrier wave. Clever and horrifying. But if it's code, we can reverse it. Rhea crossed her arms. Explain. Think of it as a feedback loop, Imani said. They use our fear as the amplifier. But if we feed it a different pattern, human neural signatures focused on aggression instead of fear, we could overload the system. Kozlov grunted. You're suggesting we fight emotion with emotion? Not emotion, Rhea said. Resolve. 2 hours later, the Vanguard's lab was alive with quiet chaos. Holographic brainwave models danced in the air, side by side with alien patterns. Engineers ran diagnostics while techs fed sensor data into deep learning decoders. The smell of ozone and synthetic coffee hung thick. Dr. Imani turned from her console. Commander, I've found something. The probes use a resonance frequency, call it the fear key. If we invert it, the broadcast should backfire. Rhea leaned over the display. How badly? Badly enough to make them feel everything they tried to make us feel. Tenfold. Rhea smirked. Good. Aaron hesitated. Commander, you realize this could start an intergalactic war. She turned to face him, eyes hard. They already started it, Lieutenant. We're just ending the demonstration. Meanwhile, on the other side of the stars, Archon Veltier stood before the Council Chamber of 12. The holographic forms of the galaxy's oldest races loomed around him, glowing, ethereal, smug. Report, Archon, hissed the Council Chair, a being of pure luminescent energy. Has the human species submitted? Veltier's mandibles clicked softly. Not yet. Their primitive minds resist longer than anticipated, but the signals are spreading. Soon they will kneel. And if they do not? A faint smile crossed his face. They will learn that resistance has no voice in the dark. The council murmured in approval. Veltier bowed low, but a flicker of unease lingered in his mind. The data feeds from the outer sectors were behaving strangely. Some probes were going silent. Some were transmitting back. Back aboard the Vanguard, Rhea watched the stars drift as the ship coasted through empty space. The hum of the reactors felt like a heartbeat, steady, alive. Commander, Aaron said quietly, you should rest. I'll sleep when the galaxy does, she replied. He smirked. That's very human of you. Exactly. She looked up at the dark beyond. That's what they'll never understand. Fear isn't our weakness, it's our teacher. We learned to live with it. They never did. Dr. Imani approached, holding a data crystal. Commander, the counter signal's ready. If we broadcast it through subspace, it'll resonate across every active probe in range. Estimated effect? Unpredictable, Imani admitted. It might scramble the network, or send a shockwave straight back to whoever controls it. Rhea turned to the crew. Then let's deliver our reply. The Vanguard's engines flared, sliding into the empty expanse beyond the Helios belt, where alien transmissions were strongest. The ship's hull shimmered under the interference fields. The crew worked in total silence. Power to subspace amplifiers, Aaron said. Signal primed. Rhea gave a slow nod. Broadcast the inversion pattern. A pulse rippled through space. Invisible waves spread outward, carrying encoded fragments of human emotion, rage, defiance, determination. The hum in the ship changed tone, lower and heavier. Then the sensors lit up. Multiple probes responding, Dr. Imani said, astonished. They're feeding it through the network. Rhea's eyes narrowed. How far? Everywhere. Across the galaxy, the fear signal faltered. On the Council's homeworld, crystal towers shimmered as the air itself began to vibrate. Veltier stared at his display, readouts showing rising entropy, neurocontamination, emotional bleed over. What is this? He growled. A trembling aide stammered. It's spreading from the human sector, Archon. They've inverted the signal. Veltier's blood ran cold. In the background, screams echoed through the Council's fortress. Officers clutched their heads, overcome by visions, of storms, of battlefields, of humans, advancing through smoke and ruin. The emotion was no longer fear, it was their fear, turned back upon them. Veltier whispered. Impossible. On the Vanguard, the sensors glowed with cascading data. The countersignal was working. The once terrifying hum had shifted into something rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat. Aaron looked up from his console. Commander, we just hijacked the galaxy's fear network. Rhea exhaled, voice steady as ever. Then let's send them one message. What message, ma'am? She looked directly into the camera of the ship's transceiver. To the Galactic Council. We are humanity. You wanted to terrify us. Consider this your first lesson in fear. The transmission pulsed through the dark. And somewhere far away, in the halls of the ancient council, the architects of fear began to panic. For the first time in recorded history, the Galactic Council fell silent. Their communications went dark, their fleets froze, and across 100 worlds, the architects of fear were waking from nightmares that weren't their own. Humanity hadn't just survived the Council's psychological assault, we had turned it inside out. On board the HSS Vanguard, Commander Rhea Locke stood in the observation bay, watching the stars flicker. The counter-signal had stabilized. What once carried despair now pulsed with the echo of something far older and more dangerous, human defiance. Lieutenant Aaron approached quietly. Command confirmed the signal reached deep space. Reports from the border sectors say alien vessels are in disarray, some even turned on each other. Rhea didn't turn. How's morale across our own colonies? Strong, Aaron said with a faint smile. It's strange, people say they felt something. Like the fear just burned away. Rhea's lips curved slightly. That's because it did. Dr. Imani entered, holding a tablet filled with pulsing waveforms. Commander, the Council's probes are responding erratically. They're feeding back amplified human signals into their own network. Their Neuralink systems can't process it. Meaning? They're living our nightmares, Imani said softly. Everything they tried to project into us, they're seeing it now. Rhea turned. Then we don't stop. Prepare Operation Echo. Operation Echo was humanity's boldest counterstrike, not a weapon of destruction, but of revelation. Using the same network the Council had woven to control the galaxy, the Vanguard would inject a new pattern, human consciousness frequencies, gathered from soldiers, scientists, poets, and ordinary citizens. Every alien world that once viewed humanity as dangerous would now feel what it meant to be human. Hours later, the bridge was tense with quiet energy. Holographic displays surrounded the crew, showing neurofrequency maps. The hum of the reactors vibrated through the deck. Rhea stood at the center, her expression unreadable. Broadcast sequence in 5 minutes, Dr. Imani announced. Double-check transmission nodes, Rhea said. We're sending something the galaxy will never forget. Aaron frowned. Commander, you really think this'll work? You think fear can be, what? Reversed? Rhea looked at him steadily. I don't want to erase fear, Lieutenant. I want to redefine it. They think fear is submission. But for us, fear means fight harder. He nodded slowly. Then let's teach them. As the countdown began, the Vanguard drifted beyond the reach of human comms, into the old war-torn ruins of the Velis Expanse, where thousands of derelict satellites still circled dead suns. These would serve as amplifiers, each one echoing the signal deeper into the void. Rhea gave the order. Initiate Operation Echo. Dr. Imani's hands flew across the console. The signal pulsed outward, a rhythm of heartbeats, breath, voices. Fragments of humanity, a soldier whispering a prayer, a mother singing to her child, the recorded sounds of laughter, thunder, oceans. Every probe, every alien sensor, began to vibrate in resonance. And then, across the stars, something changed. On the Council's core world, Archon Veltier watched as his command screens filled with cascading error codes. His control nodes were bleeding chaos into the network. Officers shouted, systems failed, and ships began to drift. Contain it! Veltier bellowed. An aide screamed, clutching his head. It's inside, Archon! The humans, they're in the system! Veltier turned toward the central interface and froze. The holographic display once showing the Council's sigil had changed. Now it showed faces. Human faces. Soldiers. Scientists. Farmers. Children. Their eyes were calm. Their expressions resolute. And behind them, a voice spoke, soft, human, and utterly without fear. You wanted to teach us terror. Now you will learn all. Veltier stumbled backward. The lights dimmed as the neurofrequencies overloaded his species' sensory systems. Across the planet, millions of Council citizens began to feel, not cold dread, but the vast, overwhelming will of humanity. They felt the crushing pressure of Earth's gravity, the roar of oceans, the endless resilience of a species that never stopped climbing. Back on the Vanguard, the readings spiked. Transmission is stable, Imani said. They're seeing it, everything. Human history, emotion, struggle. Any retaliation? Rhea asked. Aaron shook his head in disbelief. None. Their fleets, they're powering down. Some are even broadcasting distress signals. Rhea's tone remained steady. Good. Keep it running until their arrogance cracks. Across a dozen alien capitals, chaos erupted. Telepods collapsed. AI cores went insane. And then, the visions began. 1,000 alien leaders saw the same thing. A human soldier walking through fire, bleeding, yet still advancing. A doctor performing surgery during bombardment. A child holding a torch in the dark. Each image carried a message: we don't yield. The council chamber itself fell into uproar. Members screamed as the echoes played inside their minds. This isn't possible, one shouted. No species could turn the fear network. They're not a species, Veltier snarled. They're a force. In the Vanguard strategy room, Rhea watched the alien chaos unfold on intercepted transmissions. Her crew was silent, unsure whether to celebrate or shudder. Aaron finally spoke. Commander, the Council's collapsing. Their worlds are rioting. Not collapsing, Rhea corrected. They're awakening. Dr. Imani frowned. You think they'll see us as saviors after this? Rhea shook her head. No. They'll see us for what we are, the mirror they've been avoiding. A tremor shook the ship. Warning lights flared. Incoming transmission, Aaron said. Direct source, Council territory. Rhea crossed her arms. Patch it through. Veltier's image appeared, his armor scorched, eyes wide with fury and disbelief. What have you done, human? Rhea met his gaze. You called it a demonstration. We're just continuing it. You think this makes you strong? You've unleashed madness. No, she said softly. We've unleashed perspective. Veltir snarled. You can't win against the galaxy. Rhea leaned closer. We already did. You just haven't realized it yet. The transmission cut. Silence followed, heavy and absolute. Hours later, the Vanguard drifted through a sea of static. Operation Echo had burned through nearly every power reserve. Crew members collapsed from exhaustion, but morale was sky high. Dr. Imani approached quietly. Commander, the Council fleets are retreating. They've quarantined their core worlds. Their fear network is offline. Rhea didn't smile. She just stared into the dark, voice low and calm. Fear travels fast, Doctor. But truth travels faster. Aaron exhaled. So, what now? She turned toward the bridge, eyes cold with purpose. Now we prepare for what comes next. Because the galaxy won't forget what we've shown them, and they'll never sleep easy again. The void beyond Mars shimmered with the aurora of war. Plasma bursts and rail slugs carved streaks across the black, painting a scene that looked more like an artist's fever dream than a battlefield. In the command hub of the Eidolon, Admiral Rhea Locke stood at the center of a holographic projection, eyes fixed on the vast, shifting map of the solar system. Thousands of icons, red, blue, and yellow, flickered in and out of existence as ships died faster than computers could record. Enemy fleets are splitting into tridents, said her tactical officer, Lieutenant Zoran. They're trying to surround Earth's orbital line. Rhea didn't blink. Then let them. Tell the ghost line to proceed. The order rippled through encrypted channels, invisible even to the most advanced alien AI. Moments later, 30 ships, sleek, black, and silent, uncloaked behind the enemy's rear flank. These were not standard Terran vessels. They were the Phantom-class dreadnoughts, each one built from a hybrid of dark matter stabilization tech and human ingenuity. The aliens had called them impossible when they'd first seen the blueprints. Now they learned what impossible could do. The dreadnoughts fired once. Not plasma. Not missiles. They fired compressed gravitational torpedoes, localized singularities wrapped in anti-harmonic containment fields. Each shot collapsed kilometers of space into a pinprick, vaporizing everything caught within. The alien command fleet disappeared in seconds. Ghost Line reports full strike success, Zoran whispered, his voice trembling with awe. Rhea's eyes softened, just for a heartbeat. And the Eidolon? Still invisible, Admiral. Good. That was the plan. The Eidolon wasn't just a flagship, it was a decoy, a phantom signal that tricked the invaders into chasing ghosts across every quadrant. The ship they thought was human command was never truly there. It was human misdirection, weaponized. But then, something unexpected happened. The alien transmission grid, their deep core communication web, began collapsing, not from attack, but from within. Admiral, Zoran said slowly, we're intercepting signals from their internal systems. It looks like panic. Translate. Zoran did. Across the comms, the alien voices screamed through static. They're inside our minds, our machines, our code. How did they? Then silence. Rhea exhaled. So it's begun. For decades, humans had fought with brute force, clever tactics, and relentless will. But this, Project Eidolon, was something else entirely. Not a weapon of destruction. A weapon of fear. The ship wasn't truly invisible. It was broadcasting a quantum echo, feeding illusions directly into enemy sensors, making them see horrors that didn't exist. Dead fleets, resurrected enemies, shadows of their own fallen gods. Humanity had discovered the alien neurological architecture, their fear receptors, and learned how to trigger them using nothing more than sound and light frequencies embedded in communication signals. They called it cognitive warfare. And it worked. Across half the galaxy, alien fleets retreated, firing blindly into empty space, tearing themselves apart as paranoia consumed them. Entire command networks fractured. Some species began broadcasting unconditional surrender before any human ships even arrived. Rhea watched in silence. This wasn't victory. This was something colder. "Admiral," said Zoran quietly. "They're fleeing toward their home systems. The galaxy's in chaos." "I know. Should we pursue?" She shook her head. "No. Let them run. Let them tell the others what they saw." Her voice was calm, almost sorrowful. "Fear will finish what our weapons started." Outside the viewport, the last of the alien armadas scattered into the void, broken, directionless, terrified of enemies they could no longer see or understand. Rhea turned away from the stars. "Send the final signal," she ordered. Zoran hesitated. "To whom?" "To everyone." The Eidolon's transmission array activated, sending a message that would echo through every known frequency, every translation matrix, every listening ear in the galaxy. "Humanity does not seek your destruction. But if you bring war to our home again, know this, you will not find soldiers. You will find your own nightmares waiting for you." The transmission ended. Silence reigned once more. Zoran swallowed. "Admiral, what if they come back? Stronger?" Rhea looked up at Earth, glowing blue and calm beneath the wreckage. "Then they'll learn," she said softly, "that fear was the merciful option." And somewhere, beyond the reach of known stars, a new kind of legend was born, one whispered in trembling alien tongues. They had wanted to terrify humanity. But instead, humanity had terrified the galaxy. The stars had always whispered. Static comms, interstellar chatter, every frequency in the galaxy was alive with life. But now, silence. The war was over. Humanity had won. Not with the biggest fleets. Not with divine technology. With fear. With truth. Admiral Rhea Locke stood on the observation deck of the Eidolon, watching the stars flicker faintly through the panoramic viewport. They looked so peaceful now, as if the galaxy itself was holding its breath. Reports had been coming in for days. Entire civilizations had gone dark. Not from destruction, but from paralysis. The alien empires that once ruled half the stars had shut down their own relay systems, afraid that even receiving a human signal could infect them again with illusions and terror. Humanity had not just won the war. It had ended communication itself. "Admiral," said Lieutenant Zoran, approaching quietly, "the Galactic Council has sent a request." Rhea didn't turn. "A request?" "They want to negotiate a truce." That made her laugh, a single, sharp sound that echoed in the cold room. "After slaughtering our colonies? After glassing Titan, burning Mars outposts, and leaving 3 billion dead in orbit? Now they want peace?" Zoran hesitated. "They're terrified, ma'am. Their fleets are collapsing. Their own worlds are rioting. They say they'll accept any terms humanity gives." Rhea finally turned, eyes sharp as steel. "Then they'll accept silence." She walked to the center console, pulling up the Council's transmission data. Every human satellite, ship, and relay hummed with quiet anticipation. "Patch them through." The hologram flickered to life, a collection of alien delegates, trembling in their own holographic chambers, the fear visible even through distorted visuals. The central figure, a Vrathi High Speaker, spoke first. "Human Commander, we wish to end this conflict. Your methods have broken our armies, our minds. We seek mercy." Rhea stared for a long moment. Then she said calmly, "Mercy begins when guilt is acknowledged." The Vrathi swallowed. "We acknowledge every atrocity, every slave colony, every strike. Please, end it." Rhea nodded slowly. "Then you will dismantle your fleets, deactivate your weapon forges, and release every enslaved race under your control. Do this, and humanity will not follow you home." There was a pause. Then weakly, "And if we do not comply?" Rhea's expression didn't change. "Then we will remind you what fear sounds like." The signal ended. For a moment, the entire command deck was silent. No hum, no chatter, nothing but the soft pulse of the Eidolon's reactor. Zoran exhaled. So it's really over? Rhea looked back out at the stars. Wars end when the other side stops fighting, she said. But peace begins when they stop hating. And that may take generations. Zoran frowned. And if they forget the lesson? She smiled faintly. Then history will remind them. 2 years later. The Eidolon floated above Earth's moon, now a monument rather than a warship. Her hull bore no banners, no markings, just one word etched into the plating: remember. Across the galaxy, fear had transformed into something else. Reverence. Alien pilgrims traveled in secret to glimpse Earth from afar, whispering the name human like a prayer. But among humans, a quiet debate raged. Had they gone too far? Had they become what they fought against? Dr. Naomi Hart, a psychologist who once advised Rhea's fleet, stood in front of the Global Assembly, her voice calm but cutting. We built a weapon that attacks thought, she said. We turned fear into a vector. And now the galaxy fears us more than it ever respected us. Tell me, what happens when fear fades? The chamber was silent. No one had an answer. Because everyone knew, when fear fades, curiosity returns. And curiosity always leads someone back to Earth. 3 centuries later. A forgotten probe drifted near the edge of the Perseus arm. Its human markings long eroded, it was little more than debris. But when a young alien scientist scanned it out of curiosity, the probe came alive, powering up a single transmitter. One line of text appeared in the alien's translator feed. This message is for those who have forgotten. We are not your enemy. But we are your reminder. Then the probe self-destructed, its energy signature vanishing into the void. The alien scientist trembled, realizing too late what they had just triggered. The old frequencies, the same ones that once drove empires insane, had been rebroadcast, stretching across systems faster than anyone could block them. The galaxy began to whisper again. Not with static. With fear. Epilogue. On Earth, under clear skies and silent stars, an old recording still plays in the preserved memory banks of the Eidolon. Admiral Rhea Locke's final message to humanity. We didn't set out to terrify the galaxy. We only wanted to survive. But in surviving, we showed them what it means to be human, resilient, relentless, unbroken. The galaxy will remember that name long after fear has faded. The recording ends with one last line, simple, human, and eternal. We are humanity. And we are still here. Studio Microphone subscribe to the Void Narratives, where every silence hides a story, and every story reminds the galaxy what it means to be human.